In the late Ming Dynasty, there lived a man who lost everything: his family, his dignity, even his will to live. Except for one thing: his nightly bottle of wine. But one restless night, he found an unexpected drinking partner lying in his bed. What began as a simple toast would grow into one of the strangest friendships ever told. But before we begin, if you're drawn to stories with mystery, meaning, and the otherworldly, to legends passed down as truth, then this is the channel for you. I share new stories each week, drawn from folklore, forgotten history, and strange events that linger at the edge of belief. So tap the like button and subscribe with all notifications on so you never miss what's next. Let's begin. So Cho was, in many ways, a simple man. He had a good heart and wanted nothing more than to spend his days in peace. But while others chased careers, marriages, and families, Cho never really seemed to grow past the habits of youth. He drifted through life like a big child, always looking for someone to sit with, to laugh with, and to share a drink with. His parents and his brothers and sisters were forever on his case. Now, they would constantly scold him, pushing him, saying, "You gotta work harder, make something of yourself." Cho never understood why. To him, life was meant to be enjoyed, not endured. He thought their anger was unfair and their expectations were simply unreasonable. And yet, he remembered their sharpest words echoing in his ears: "You'll never be anything but a lazy drunk." It stung, but in his heart, he could not see the truth in it. He felt wronged, cast out for no reason, abandoned by family, left without friends. He turned more and more to the one thing that never judged him: the wine jug. Now, one night, after he drunk himself silly and he was restless in his bed, he turned over and he felt something beside him. Now, at first, he thought it must just be like a pile of clothes. But then he realized, wait, this is fur. I don't own anything with fur. So he gets up out of bed, he lights a lamp, and he looks down and he sees a fox. Out cold, breathing slow, his nose twitching from the smell of wine, a little bottle by his bed that was empty. So at this point, the fox then wakes up, panics, and he wants to bolt for the exit, but Cho had already stood up and was blocking the door, which was the only way out. So the fox freezes in a corner of the room on the other side. Their eyes meet, they're just staring at each other, and then the fox leans in and says, "Don't hurt me." Cho stares. "You can talk?" The fear drops out of him. That's amazing. "Oh, tell me a story." Then the fox cautiously comes over to the table, the mat next to the table, and he sits down. And the two quietly talk together. They start trading stories. Fox talks about roads he's run, what the markets at dawn are like, snow on temple steps. Cho is the same. He tosses in a few tales of his own. They laugh, they pour wine. Cho had a cup for himself, and he prepared a small bowl for the fox. Then the room just kind of starts to loosen up. And then the fox says, "Sometimes I wish I could sit like a person, at a table, holding a cup." They talked until dawn came, and then Cho said, "Oh, come back tonight. I'll go out today and I'll get some more wine." That evening, the fox did return, cautious but smiling, and he had someone with him. A calm vixen with tidy steps. "This is my wife," he says softly. She dips her head. "Then she is my sister," Cho says warmly. He sets a shallow dish for each of them and adds, "Welcome." Now, those nights then turned into a rhythm. So the three of them would sit on woven mats together. Cho would sit on the floor as well. There would be steam from the kettles. The drinks would be poured nonstop. Stories would run late into the night. Laughter would run even later. And then one evening, Cho tells the truth. "I'm out. No coin. I can't buy any more wine. The fox thinks, then nods. Tell me where you grew up? Chud describes the old courtyard. A gate that sticks, a broken water jar, and this crooked mulberry tree. The fox's ears tilt. I think I've been there before. Wait here. He then slips off into the night and returns before dawn, dust on his coat. I went to look, he says. Now, your family never found what the previous family left. There's a sealed vault in the backyard under the old jar inside a brick ring. Your family never found it because they don't go into crawl spaces like us foxes do. Chua blinks. There's money? Strings of cash, the fox says. Now, it's not a fortune, but hundreds of strings, enough for drinks and friends. They wait until the next night. Chua leads the way through the narrow lanes to get to the house, and the foxes just kind of hang back in the shadows, following cautiously. When he gets to the courtyard, the gate still sticks like he remembers. He sees the old mulberry tree that still leans. But as he enters, Chua feels this knot in his chest. The foxes say, don't worry about it. Just go forward. Your family's all asleep right now. So they cross the yard, and the fox noses the broken jar. He scrapes at the ring bricks, and then he finds this flat stone, picks it up, and brings it over. Here. So together, they pry open the vault, and this rush of cold air comes from a small cellar. Now, deep down inside, you can see these bundles of coins on strings, wrapped in old reed matting. At that point, they hear a bell ring. It's faint, in the lane. And then another. The fox goes still. They're here. Two shadows in gray robes step into the courtyard. Taoist monster hunters. A small brass bell quiet in one hand, cinnabar talismans tucked in the other. Fox, the thin one says, come out. Chua has to think fast. He grabs what's at hand, an old door panel, 2 pig bladders from his pack to kill the smell of wine, and a coil of line. He props the door panel behind the jar and ties the line to it. He sprinkles millet husks into the wind so the scent moves sideways. He sets his 3 lanterns, one bright, one smoky, one cracked, on poles at different heights. He whispers to the fox, when I tug, drop down, you go for the coins, I'll keep 'em busy. The vixen presses a bit of ginger into the fox's lips to keep him sharp. Chua steps into the open. Evening, honored sirs, he bows, steady. You're late. The moon's already paid the bill. He tips a wine jug. The thin one studies the lights, then catches the shine of the strings of cash in the open vault. He tilts his head, almost pleased. Payment for fox hunting. The heavy one sniffs. Wild smell here. He starts toward the jar. Chua tugs the line. The door panel slams down, kicking up dust and chaff. The cracked lantern pops, throwing sparks. The hunters flinch. In the same breath, Chua kicks a stuffed robe off a peg. His high school robe filled with straw. It falls like a man. The heavy one lunges, bell rings, talisman flares, and strikes a scarecrow. While they're tangled, Chua lifts the flat stone, drops, and shoves the fox down into the vault. Take the strings, pass them up. The fox moves fast, silent, handing up bundle after bundle. Chua stacks them in a rice basket, drops the stone back at an angle, and drags the basket behind the leaning mulberry tree. The hunters clear their eyes. The thin one spots the millet trail and the rope. He points. He planned this. Then we end it, the heavy one growls, stepping in, and his foot hits a loop. The old door panel kicks again. The cracked lantern throws another flash, and the heavy one sprawls, face first, into the dust. His pouch spills. Talisman papers and a small clay gourd roll across the bricks. Chua scoops up the gourd and a moon-white charm and tucks them into his belt. Sorry, he says politely. House rules. No killing in my mother's yard. He then backs toward the gate with the basket on his hip. The thin one lifts the bell. But the courtyard is now a maze of drifting chaff and staggered lights. By the time the hunters reach the gate, the lane is empty. Back home, they count in silence hundreds of strings of cash, enough to keep a lamp lit for years. Che sets the clay gourd and the white charm on the table. The fox's ears go high. That looks like moonlight dew in the gourd. And this? A transformation charm. If it's real, the light of the full moon can wake it. I could sit at your table as a man. Not always, just one night each month. But that would be enough. They wait for the full moon. When it rises, the fox traces the charm. Che reads the strokes as best he can and then unseals the gourd. The liquid is silver cold. The fox tastes it. No smoke, no thunder, just a steady change. The weight of feet on floorboards, arms stretching out, a hand reaches for a cup. The fox stands, human, eyes wet. He sits. He laughs at the sound of his own voice. He holds the cup like it's the first real cup anyone ever gave him. They don't toast loudly. They talk, like friends, like family. Now, with the money safe, the fox turns practical. Tomorrow, go to the market. Buy buckwheat, all you can. People will laugh, that's fine. A month later, the sky cracks and the fields brown. Wheat fails. Everyone wants buckwheat. Farmers line up at Che's gate with empty baskets. He sells seed at a fair price, sometimes less. The house fills with coins. On every full moon, the charm wakes, and the fox wears a man's shape until dawn. He learns chopsticks. He teases Che for snoring. He tells stories with both hands. The seasons turn, and one day, Che sees kits, baby foxes tumbling through the doorway, climbing on Che like he's a low tree, and they call him Uncle. On full moons, they sit wide-eyed while their father tells stories in a man's voice and lets them tug at his sleeve. Years pass. When his time comes, it's gentle. Che is shelling peas with the smallest kit under the tree. He laughs at a silly joke and leans his head back like he's watching a cloud. The bowl rolls. Peas click on the ground. The kit runs to call his mother. They mourn like foxes, quiet and long. They brush his hair. They set his cup by the door. They sit through the night without a lamp, each remembering a morning when the door was already open and the plain man with kind hands had been there first. At dawn, they pack what they can and go into the mountains where hunters rarely climb. They never return. Che starts self-absorbed and numb, but the moment he chooses care over comfort, friendship becomes family, and survival turns into meaning. The fox wants what we all want, a seat at the table, to be seen as we are, to belong without fear. Together, they learn that love isn't a grand gesture. It's open doors, a second cup set out, and showing up when it's hard. Now, before we go, I want to thank you for being here. Every time you watch, like, or share, you help breathe life into these stories. For just the cost of a cup of coffee each month, you can get early access, bonus tales, and deeper insights into the stories. Your support doesn't just keep the lights on, it fuels growth. It means I can dig deeper into forgotten legends and bring more of these stories to life at a higher level. This channel doesn't just belong to me, it belongs to us. And every member who steps inside isn't just a viewer anymore. You're part of the foundation that keeps these stories alive. So, if you'd like to preserve the legends that deserve to be told and truly take part in this channel's growth, click join below. I can't wait to welcome you inside, and I'll see you in the next story.